Greetings, welcome, and thanks for joining me. It's Christian of Standing Stones Healing. So honored to be here with you. And my question for you is, are you protecting your energy? Are you protecting your energy? You know, in the Reiki community, there's a lot of talk about protecting against negativity. We have all kinds of tips and tricks and tactics for doing this. Everything from wrapping ourselves in bubbles of different colored light, white light, blue light, gold light, to grabbing our crystals and protecting with crystals, to all kinds of practices to protect us, the sage and the drumming and the bells, and even Japanese practices in the system of Reiki like Kenyoku Ho. And do we need these practices? Do we need to protect our energy? Now, in this week's episode of the Build Your Reiki Business podcast, we're talking all about protection, whether we need it, how to think about it, or at least how I think about it, and some important things to consider for the protection of our energy. But I want to share with you the number one thing, the very first thing that I believe we need to do when it comes to energetic protection. You may be thinking, I know, grab the crystals. It's not grabbing the crystals. I mean, if you use crystals for protection, that's great. No judgment and no judgment in that. I have no problem with that. And it's not the first thing for us to do. The first thing for us to do is not to break out the sage. It's not to get out the singing bowls and chime them around our space. It's not to clap out the corners. It's none of that. The very first thing that we need to do when we are thinking about energetic protection, it's the thing that no one ever does, no one ever thinks to do. We have to first and foremost ask ourselves if we're bringing the negative energy and if we are the energy that someone feels the need to protect against. When we talk about protecting ourselves against negative energy, when we talk about wrapping ourselves in the bubbles of light and grabbing the crystals and using the sage, we're always talking about protecting ourselves from other people's energy, protecting ourselves from negative energy. But indeed, are you the one bringing the negative energy? Are you someone who another person feels the need to protect against? Are you bringing the kind of energy that makes someone want to grab their crystals and their sage? We never ever think about this when we think about negative energy, but yet it's the very first thing that we need to do is some self-reflection. Let's get real with ourselves. Let's get honest and let's truly ask ourselves, what kind of energy am I bringing? How am I showing up? What kind of energy am I emanating? And am I bringing negative energy? Am I bringing energy that someone is not interested in interacting with? Am I bringing energy that feels like someone needs to go grab the sage and the crystals? If that's the case, and even if it's not the case, that's where we need to start when it comes to energetic protection. Now, I talk about it in the podcast. I take an expansive view of energetic protection. So often we talk about protecting our energy in Reiki sessions, but in the podcast episode, I talk about how energetic protection really, I think, is much more than Reiki sessions. And I also talk about how important it is for each of us to approach it in the way that feels right to and resonates with us. Because let's be honest, there's a lot of talk in our Reiki community about what people, quote, should do when it comes to energetic protection. Oh, you should wrap yourself in a bubble of light. You should break out the crystals. You need to use sage. Or when something negative happens in a session with energy, when someone feels negative energy or has a vision or senses something, there's a lot of talk about what the practitioner should have done or could have done. Didn't you ground? You know you're supposed to ground. Didn't your teacher teach you how to ground? Didn't your teacher teach you how to protect? I can't believe that you weren't taught how to protect your energy. Let's release the need to say those kinds of things to one another, and let's embrace everyone's choice in how or if they break out the crystals, the sage, the anything that they might use, bubbles of light, whatever it might be. Let's release judgment of one another and allow each of us to determine if we need protection and what that looks like for each of us. It's a very personal thing, so I encourage all of us not to force our beliefs or our fears onto other practitioners. So what do you think? Drop it down in the comments for us. Let us know. I'll drop down that link to the podcast episode all about energetic protection. But no matter how you approach it and no matter what you do, I believe energetic protection begins with self-reflection and making sure that we are bringing the positive energy, making sure that we are emanating the love and light, making sure that we're not the ones that someone feels the need to protect against. So I'm sending lots of blessings and best wishes to your energy.